the name suggests, is actually about the slum redevelopment. So we have seen that a lot of cities have been there, like say Mumbai, even Delhi NCR, and many other cities in India are there, where there are a lot of slum development has happened. Now, slum means that the people are not able to enjoy some basic amenities. They don't have, the complete, you can say, the sanitation, hygiene, and so on. And in this particular difficult time of pandemic, we are finding it really difficult to provide them healthcare services and so on. So for that, government has actually taken an initiative that all these slums will be redeveloped. Normally, the policy initiated with the permission or with the consent of the local bodies and the local, you can say, governments. They normally take the land from them on a certain, kind of agreement that they will be provided certain, you can say, constructed houses. So all the slums will be redeveloped in terms of proper housing. That is what the in situ slum redevelopment policy is all about. And obviously the developers who develop this, they get the benefit out of it because they can create high rises, they can have multiple floor buildings. So whatever the piece of land they basically get from the slum or that area, maybe that 50% of it is being utilized for the purpose of the same rehabilitation of the number of people or number of homes, plus the 50% whatever is left, then the developer can use it for the purpose of commercial activities and other kinds of things. So this creates some kind of a benefit for the developers as well. Like a slum redevelopment has return on investment for the developers as well. So this is the way how this policy is actually initiated. Second is the credit linked subsidy scheme or CLSS. Now this scheme is very interesting and directly gives benefit to the consumers. So any person whose income is less than 10 lakh a year and wants to own a house, they can go and book the house in any affordable housing scheme, and government directly gives the subsidies to the account or to that particular individual who is buying the house. So consumer approximately get 4% interest subsidy, and that is having some maximum cap on it. I think it's a 2.5 lakh or 4 lakh is the maximum amount of interest that they basically get refunded by the government. So if say for example in a common sense, if a loan is available at 8.5 or 8% interest rate and 4% is given by the government, so consumer is actually getting the home loan for 4% annually, which is definitely significantly lower as compared to the normal market. And that is definitely a kind of a push for you can say affordable housing. So people who cannot pay high EMIs, definitely their EMIs are significantly low because of this credit linked subsidy scheme. The third and the fourth scheme is more about affordable housing development. So affordable housing partnership, or what we call AHP. Now in AHP, what government does is they give direct subsidy to the you can say developer who is actually building say affordable housing unit within a project itself. So if someone is having minimum 35% units reserved for the LIG, lower income group, you can say people. Now in that particular case, they can get up to 1.5 lakh rupees per unit as a subsidy from the side of the government. It's a cash subsidy. Moreover, beneficiary-led construction, when some people who are living in slums or living in urban areas, not having proper pakka house but having a kacha house kind of a thing, and they want to develop their house in a proper way. Now in that particular case, government can give a direct subsidy to them also, and this is also 1.5 lakh rupees per unit or per family. That's the way how this is actually being initiated. So in some ways, we can say that the government in India is actually taking care of all segments, the consumer, the developers, as well as certain types of the housing problems in the cities like slum redevelopment and all. And that actually creates a lot of, you can say, a kind of a promotion to the affordable housing in India and gives a reasonable amount of profitability to the developers as well. Next is about, you can say, state governments. Now, state governments, when they basically try to promote, like say Haryana, like say UP, like Delhi, many other states, what they basically do is they give the higher FAR, floor area ratio is actually being increased for those projects which are actually having the affordable housing. So definitely we know that affordable housing cannot be sold at a very high, you can say, margins and so on. And therefore the higher FAR gives the higher number of units to be created, higher, you can say, area can be created by the developers, and obviously the sales can be higher. So that's a way how the affordable housing in most of the states at a local level is being dealt. So this is about the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Other than that, we also seen a lot of other schemes side by side the government has announced to promote housing, to promote sanitation, hygiene, and other sectors like Swachh Bharat Mission, Atal Mission for Rejuvenation, what we call is Amrut scheme, which is more about developing infrastructure, maintaining the facilities, and so on. Smart city concept has also been there. Heritage city development has been there. Urban development planning is actually being done. Water supply and sanitation, in the urban area is also being done. Urban development in northeastern region, that is also one of the scheme which has recently been announced. And Delhi and miscellaneous initiative in urban sector. Urban transportation is the another sector. So all these schemes are actually getting initiated in India. Now, the crucial point and one of the important point in these schemes is that these are completely monitored by the government, central as well as the state government. Reason is that we have seen in India in the past that wherever government makes a policy and try to implement it, many a time government bodies, government employees, or government professionals who are actually on the government roles do not care much about the performance and effectiveness of these schemes. So from now onwards, government actually in the couple of years, especially last 4 5 years, whatever new initiatives are being launched, they are actually being initiated under the special purpose vehicles. That is a kind of a companies which are being set up by the government, and these companies are not completely run by the government official, but there's a private involvement is also been there. So in most of the cases, whether it's a smart city, Amrut scheme, Swachh Bharat mission, or any other scheme is being initiated, most of the initiated schemes are actually having the companies which has three types of directors. The first directors comes from the private companies who are actually getting the contract for certain types of schemes and implementation. The second part is the local bodies like municipal corporations or the state government representatives. And the third representative or the third kind of a director is appointed by the central government. So here what happens is that these schemes are performing far better as compared to the government schemes because they are initiated under the, you can say, SPB model. And that model actually creates a lot of accountability for those directors who are being appointed, especially private people, especially the private companies who are contributing to it for the performance appraisal. And that's the reason why we have seen significantly that most of the smart city missions and Amrut schemes projects, they are doing far better as compared to their counterpart like municipal corporations and all others. So that is also one of the good initiative the government has taken, which is not only good from the monitoring purpose, but is also good from the private developers and private facility management companies who are actually wants to take and contribute towards the country development and so on. So that is also one of the segment which is now getting opened for the private companies to contribute in a more effective and efficient manner. This is what the Amrut scheme I basically just talked about, which is about water supply, sewage management, septic management, stormwater draining, transportation, green space development, and parks. And obviously, it is available to almost throughout the India for all, you can say, the cities, and obviously largely about those particular cities which is having at least 1 lakh to 2 lakh population. And contribution of capital is actually being divided among the central government and the state government depending upon the population. So if population is less than 10 lakh, usually half of the money is given by the government, central government. If it is greater than 10 lakh, then normally 1/3 of the capital is actually being given by the central government. Rest will be given by, you can say, the local body or the state government and the private companies. That's the way how the Amrut scheme has actually been, you can say, contributed or initiated. The next aspect is about the smart cities. I'm just taking these two examples, which is I believe that are very significant and obviously has a lot of, you can say, a kind of an impact on the housing and overall city developments and so on. So this smart city project is again one of the landmark projects in India. Why we say so? Because we are developing the model towns and the ideal cities, smart cities, what we call by name. And the idea is that we basically prepare 100 cities in India in such a way which becomes a role model for the rest of the cities. And here the cities are not only just about the rearranging the or say town planning system, but we are also looking forward to involvement of technology, creating smart homes, dealing with the problems like say sewage, water supply, many other kinds of problems like facility management issues and so on. We have smart technologies being developed and implemented in these cities, so we all are doing this. And this is also giving a lot of push to, you can say, the central government initiative being driven by or implemented by the private players. So most of these cities are actually on a PPP model, public private partnership model, where the private companies are getting the contracts for developing certain landscapes or developing certain infrastructure in the city, plus developing housing, commercial spaces, retail spaces, and so on, and obviously implementing certain types of technologies to manage it later on. So it is not only about creation but also managing these cities later on. So with Wi-Fi, smart transportation system, smart water supply treatment systems, and all these things are actually being used. Technology, high, or you can say the advanced technologies are being used for managing these cities. And obviously approximately 50,000 crore has already been sanctioned by the government of India for approximately 77 cities in the first go, and another 23 cities are lying up. And we are hoping that this will lead towards the an example in front of the whole world that India has a capability to develop some smart cities, and later on our other cities also take inspiration from them. That is the way how it is actually being you can say created. Now, having said that, smart cities, Amrut schemes, housing, the kind of a population shift that we are experiencing, and having, a lot of, you can say, activities happening in this particular segment. Now, what is the, you can say, opportunities for us as a professional? So we as a consultant, we as a professionals who are going to contribute, you can say, through our skills, our, knowledge, to these kinds of, initiatives which are being there. So if you look at some of the key data, then you will find that there's a approximately built environment in India as of 17.5% of the total GDP, which employs approximately 50 million people. And it has approximately a target was approximately infrastructure. Last 5-7 years, we have already contributed or completed $1 trillion infrastructure. And as we know that currently the scenario is that India talks about self-reliant, it talks about, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Make in India. So infrastructure growth definitely would be there. And at the same time, as I said, because of the urbanization, there would be some kind of a, you can say pickup, or the growth, high exponential growth will happen in the residential sector as well. So we believe that keeping in mind the infrastructure, the housing, and obviously the other segments of the real estate, we believe that in next couple of years, we need millions of people who will be requiring a professional knowledge. That means they should understand the design, they should understand the technology, they understand the way to work, they understand new concepts of management, they understand the way that sector actually is behaving or actually growing, and obviously the overall direction. And we believe at this point in time, we found that only 20% people are sufficiently equipped in terms of training, in terms of knowledge, in terms of, you can say, attitude, and there's a gap of approximately 80%. So we require approximately 5 million people approximately every year, skilled people, for built environment, whereas if availability is only 1 million, and that's a deficit of approximately 80%. And within this 80%, there are three major professions or directions which are being really been identified. This is not us only, but it is actually being said by the government of India and several other research agencies, that approximately 150,000, you can say, the valuers will be required for valuing the projects, understanding the projects, giving the advice to the investors, and so on. There's a requirement of approximately 80,000 quantity surveyors who can go to the site, go certain inspections, can advise and can give their reports to the concerned people. there's a requirement of approximately 140,000 facility management professional who can manage these infrastructure, residential projects, and so on once they are actually being completed. So this is approximately the annual demand for skilled people, the knowledgeable people, professionals largely. I'm not talking about the unskilled and unprofessional, but the professional requirement is this much. And therefore, there's a need for, developing the people, training the people. You people who are actually belonging to the built environment sector can be further developed into the built environment professionals. So that's a way how we are looking into facility management, quantity surveying, and the property valuation kind of segments. So this is what we are looking into the future, that this will be the opportunity for all of us. There we can contribute towards the housing, towards different other segments, and through our skills and other kinds of knowledge that we have. So that's the overall the viewpoint about this particular sector. So that's all from my side so far, and I'll be happy to take any question at this point in time, whatever you feel like. Anyone has any question, I'll be happy to answer that.
Students, if you have any question regarding the webinar, you can just unmute yourself, or you can raise your hand
Yeah.
and you can ask the question. And also, there are 10 to 12 students who have not yet completed their attendance sheet. So fill that attendance sheet, as that would be mandatory for your participation certificate. So if you have any query, you can just unmute yourself. You can raise your hand, or you can write down in the chat box.
You can write your query in the chat box also, not an issue.
And also, those who have not yet filled the attendance sheet, fill up your attendance sheet, because even if you are attending the webinar, you might not get the participation certificate if we don't have your name and the other details. So fill up the attendance sheet who have not yet completed, and rest who have already done, they can post their query, anything regarding the webinar, regarding the topic, or even regarding to your career, because you're going to pass out very soon. So if anything that you want to know about your career opportunities post your graduation, you can just write down. So as you know, you might know that RICS, Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyor, MIT University offers MBA program for the built environment sectors, and the MBA programs that we offer are MBA in real estate and urban infrastructure, MBA construction project management, and MBA in construction economics and quantity surveying. So all these three programs are for 2-year duration, and the eligibility for them would be graduation with 50% marks. And especially for construction management and construction economics quantity surveying, you should have a BTech degree or a BArch degree. And there's also a 1-year program that is post-graduation diploma in facility management. This is a 1-year program. These are the courses that we offer for the postgraduate student, and we have one program that is for undergraduate